Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm going to show you how to make this fun and festive red and white striped cake with white chocolate peppermint cake truffles. Start by building your cake. I'm making a white chocolate peppermint cake by mixing my 4-minute buttercream frosting with melted white chocolate and sprinkling crushed candy canes over the top before placing the next layer of cake on top. I'm doing a crumb coat of white chocolate buttercream and then a final coat, making sure my frosting is about as thick as the grooves in my striped cake comb. The frosting doesn't have to be perfectly smooth at this point, because we're going to use a cake comb and then a bench scraper again, but it's helpful for it to be fairly tidy. You should check that the sides are even, not lopsided, which makes the striped cake comb more effective. When I'm happy with the frosting, I'm using my striped cake comb to indent grooves into the cake, which will be filled with a second colour of frosting. I'm going around several times until the grooves are as deep as the comb all the way around the sides of the cake. Next, I'm going to chill my cake for 15 minutes in the freezer, or you can do 30 minutes in the fridge. This sets the first colour of frosting so it holds its shape when you apply the next colour of frosting. My next colour is red. I'm spreading it all over the chilled cake, making sure it goes all the way into every striped groove. Because the white frosting is cold, I can spread the new frosting on quickly without damaging the existing frosting. I'm using my bench scraper again, smoothing the frosting around the sides of the cake. I'm smearing the red frosting all over the cake, making a huge mess, but it's going to get neater and neater as I keep smoothing. Each time I go around the cake with my bench scraper, it's taking off another layer of red frosting, exposing more of the white frosting underneath. You can keep going for a long time, making your stripes more and more precise until you're happy with them. If you're enjoying this tutorial, please click the thumbs up button. I have a tutorial on the 4 secrets of striped cakes, and if you're interested, you can click the link in the top of the screen, or it's in the video description below. When you're using a dark colour like red or black, any stains really show up on white frosting, so it's especially important to chill the cake before applying the next colour of frosting, so that you can scrape any stains off with an offset spatula. A bit of red frosting has snuck up onto the top of my cake here, so I'm wiping it off easily with my offset spatula. If the frosting hadn't been cold, my spatula would spread the red frosting over it, instead of scraping it off. With the leftover frosting, I'm going to make some swirls on top of the cake. I'm filling half a piping bag with red frosting and half with white frosting, and I'm using a 1M star tip. I'll use this frosting later. I'm going to decorate my cake with white chocolate peppermint cake truffles, which are probably the most delicious thing I've ever made. I'm crumbling the cake cut-offs. These are the domed tops that I trimmed off my cake layers before building my cake. I'm adding a generous spoonful of frosting, just enough to bind the crumbs together. Mashing it all together with my fork to incorporate the frosting through the cake crumbs, and then rolling the mixture into little balls, which I'm going to chill while I prepare the rest of the ingredients. I'm crushing 6 candy canes, putting them in a Ziploc bag and banging them with a rolling pin. I'm melting 1 cup of white chocolate chips in the microwave at 70% power for 30 seconds at a time so the chocolate doesn't seize. I've gathered my ingredients together and I'm dipping the balls into the white chocolate, rolling them around to cover them, and then letting the excess drip off before rolling them in the crushed peppermint. You can shape the truffles with your hands after rolling them, flattening the peppermint crumbles. I'm covering half of the truffles with peppermint, and for the other half I'm just sprinkling on a bit of peppermint on the top, so you can see the white chocolate coating. These will all firm up after a few minutes in the fridge, but the cake inside will stay incredibly soft and moist because it's mixed with frosting. To make a drip for my cake, I've warmed 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream, just until little bubbles start forming at the sides of the pan. I'm adding 3 times the amount of white chocolate chips, so this is 3/4 cup of white chocolate. Shaking the pan to cover the chocolate with cream, and after 5 minutes I can stir it all together and the chocolate melts to make a white chocolate ganache. You can spoon this over the cake or use a condiment bottle, which I'm going to use. It's a good idea to test the ganache on the side of your pan or bowl to check the consistency. If the drips run quickly all the way down the sides, you need to add some more chocolate. If the drips don't drip, you need more cream. I'm holding the bottle above the edge of the cake and spinning the turntable just a tiny bit at a time. As I move the cake, the ganache is making a line around the rim of the top of the cake, And when I stop spinning for a moment, the ganache drips down the sides of the cake. If your cake is cold, it helps stop the drips as they go down the sides of the cake, instead of running all the way down and pooling at the bottom. After going all the way around the cake, I'm going back a second time, making another drip in the middle of each drip. I'm intentionally squeezing different amounts out each time, so that my drips aren't even. Now I'm pouring the rest of the ganache on top of the cake, and using an offset spatula to spread it all over the top. This is also best to do with a cold cake, because the frosting holds its shape. If it's at room temperature, the warm ganache tends to mix in with the frosting as you spread. To make the swirls on top of the cake, I'm squeezing out the frosting until I can see both colours coming out together. Now I'm just piping on little spirals around the top of the cake, trying to space them equally and make them all the same size, and then pressing a cake truffle into each swirl. Ta-da! I tried to resist the extra cake truffles, but I couldn't, and oh my goodness, they're so delicious. Thanks for watching! Subscribe to my channel for new cake decorating tutorials every week.